Hi, my name is Tim King. I'm the founder and CEO of Urban Prep Academies. We're at Rockstar Studios and you're watching Urban Matrix TV. I thought about starting Urban Prep really as a response to the issues and challenges that we're facing young black men in the city of Chicago and frankly across the entire country. We had a real issue with graduation rates. We had a real issue with high levels of poverty, high levels of contact with the criminal justice system. And I felt very strongly that a way to solve that problem was if we created an organization that was going to be laser focused on this population. And certainly throughout history in our country, and definitely when it comes to African Americans, the key to progress has always been education. So why not focus that laser in education? And that's really why I wanted to start Urban Prep. I grew up in Chicago and had the privilege of going to private schools my entire life. And when I was done with high school at St. Ignatius, I went to Georgetown University for undergraduate. And while I was at Georgetown University, I had such a positive experience that I decided to stay there, and I continued earning my law degree from the Georgetown University Law Center after I finished undergrad. And so really my entire educational career and background has been wrapped up in my Georgetown experience, and it means an awful lot to me. And I've also had terrific opportunities to be able to study in universities in Europe as well as in Africa, and that has kind of rounded out my education. The things that I learned while in law school have been critically important in the development of Urban Prep. I mean, one of the things that I learned about in Urban Prep was how to think like a lawyer and how to be methodical, pay attention to details, how to write in a different type of way and communicate in a different type of way. Those skills have been really, really important. On the entrepreneurial side, while there was no real course that I took in law school or in undergraduate focused on entrepreneurship, I had the great model of my father who started what became the state's largest minority-owned construction firm. And seeing him as I was growing up develop his business, seeing his father also develop his business. My grandmother had a business. I have a lot of firsts in my family, and they've been really inspirational to me, and they tend to be focused on business. My mom is an educator, so I guess I got a little bit of the mom gene and the dad gene in being an educator who started entrepreneurially his own endeavor.
Nice. Awesome.
There are many things that I remember about my father as well as grandparents and their businesses. Lots of stories, lots of things that stick out. But probably the thing that sticks out the most is just the work ethic, like the hard work. Like you gotta put in the work. And it's not enough to have a dream. It's not enough to have this ambition. It's not enough to have the drive or the desire. You have to really be ready and willing to put in the work. And so my grandfather, who started a produce business, and he is credited with really bringing to the Chicago market yams and greens and everything into mainstream stores here. Well, this man, I remember being a little kid, and he would be going to the South Water Market at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock every morning, taking orders, getting stuff ready, and he'd be there all day, and then he'd come home at night and be a father to my dad and to my aunt, and then the next morning start all over again. And I saw the exact same thing with my father growing up. He was doing this construction business, and I was there as it was being built. Of course, I didn't have a real awareness of it being built and developed, but I saw him every morning waking up bright and early, getting himself together, going to work, and coming home every night and getting ready for the next day at work. So just seeing that hard work combined with that passion and that commitment, I think really informed me and what I'm doing now, and certainly inspired me.
Awesome.
But another thing that really, I think, helped a lot, that frankly I don't get a chance to talk about a lot, and I don't think people, certainly in Chicago, recognize and appreciate it. I grew up in this community, this neighborhood called Pill Hill, and it's on the southeast side of the city, and it was originally created, the development was originally created, and a bunch of doctors lived there, and so it got the name Pill Hill. And when black folks started moving in, the white folks started moving out. Interestingly, the community developed into a neighborhood of black professionals. So I was growing up with a next door neighbor that owned a chain of gas stations. A person across the street, black man who had a seat on the board of trade, 2 doors down, one of the most prominent gynecologists in the city. So I had these incredible role models and examples of excellence. And one of the things that I think is really missing for a lot of young people, and I'm not going to say today, because certainly even then it was missing for a lot of young people, but one of the things that's missing is the opportunity to see that diversity of positive role models. So one of the things that I hope we're doing at Urban Prep is not only providing a high quality education to these young men that results in them succeeding in college, but I also hope we're providing them with examples, models of excellence that they can aspire to be, or even if they don't aspire, oh, I want to grow up to be this guy. What I hope they're able to do is say, because this guy has done it, I can do what I want to do. I just have to do the same sorts of things that he did. I got to be serious about my education. I got to make sure I'm working hard. I got to have, a plan in place and do it. So when I think about the different things that contributed to me starting Urban Prep, certainly my family comes into play, obviously my education, but also just my upbringing, like the people that I had the benefit of being raised around outside of my family, my community, my broader family, really, really played a big part. A moment which will always, which I will always remember and I will always hold dear, is when our first class, the class of 2010, when I found out that they had all been admitted to college. I had the opportunity growing up where it wasn't a conversation about, are you going to college or anything like that. It was just assumed that that was what the next step was. When I started Urban Prep, only 1 in 40 young black men who were graduating from, who had started out in a Chicago public school, was going to end up with a college degree, 1 in 40. So really when I started Urban Prep, I wanted to make sure I was trying to positively impact that, because I knew these guys would be able to do more, do better. And when we got to the senior year with these young men, and I got the call, we just got the last student, he just got his admission letter. And I was like, so we have 100% up? Yes, we have a 100%. And it was like, it just validates what you're doing, right? You realize that this was worth it, this was right, because these 107 young men, whether they go to college or don't go to college, they have the option and have this opportunity now, and they may not have had that opportunity were it not for what a lot of people did in order to create Urban Prep and help them along the way. So probably that moment is the biggest moment for me when we made that 100% college acceptance rate for that very first class. There are myriad ways for people who are interested in the work of Urban Prep to support us and be involved. I mean, one way, and this is the biggest way, is send your sons to Urban Prep. And if you are interested in what we're doing, if what we're trying to accomplish with the young black men resonates with you, and you've got a student, a young man, or you know of somebody who is high school age, come on and send them to Urban Prep. Another way is if the mission of Urban Prep resonates with you and you're interested in education, there are many things for people to do professionally at Urban Prep that aren't just focused on teaching. We operate 3 schools and several other programs that support our graduates once they leave Urban Prep. So it's a nonprofit organization that has many, many people working for it doing many different things. There are a lot of employment opportunities. A third way, I probably should have put this one first, is you can make financial contributions to Urban Prep. I mean, we are a nonprofit organization. We rely heavily on financial support from donors, and we always appreciate and are grateful for anyone who's making a donation and contribution.
Hey, I'm Ashley Woods, and we're at Rockstar Studio, and you are watching Urban Matrix.